Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hippie Moms podcast. Today we have Angela Ferrari back. Welcome, Ange.
Thank you. I always enjoy being here. Thank
So
you.
great to have you. So today we're going to dive in to the intuition, mother's intuition, that knowing within ourselves that tends to get blocked in a lot of our lives. So we're going to kind of dive into that. But before we kind of move on, I want to hear, like, what is intuition to you?
So, intuition is this well of infinite wisdom that oftentimes doesn't make logical sense. But
Mhm.
if we're still enough, it causes a knowing, not just, I think maybe we should. It has this very firm, anchoring knowing. Even if there are 1,000 people doing something against it,
Hmm.
there's something within us that knows what is right for us, or it could be right for your child, your animal, whatever is in your care.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be for everyone.
Right.
It's that trust within self, and we're the most intelligent there. Sometimes something can come in a way that you have a thought or a vision,
Yeah.
and you don't even know why you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even make full sense why you know that. We've all done that before. Like, say you're talking to someone and you get in this stream of consciousness, this flow, and you'll say something that's just extraordinary, and you'll wish you would have been recording it for yourself. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah,
That's our intuition.
that's our intuition. I really feel like we all, in at least in this community, know that, because if we're on this journey and in this lifestyle, we've had those experiences to be like, that just doesn't feel right. Like it's really going against the grain. And going against what, and maybe not against, but just questioning what the majority of people are doing and the information out there, and really listening to that voice within us.
Yeah, it's really an outlet for the rebel. And I mean that in the highest way, because the
Mhm.
rebel is that that point within us that refuses to conform if it's not for the greatest good of all. And we had that as children, a lot of us too, right? And that was treated negatively as children.
Yeah.
But that is what ends up causing us as adults to go off and do something that is in alignment with yourself, even though it's not in alignment with maybe what your parents wanted or what society wants or all these
Mm.
things. That's the rebel.
Yeah. And I think we can all really relate to that, with so many of us questioning so many things that society does, the way they eat, the way they do all these things, the way that they, it's just questioning. And there's something in you that goes, that just doesn't feel right. And
Mhm.
if we can, like, stay in that, then we can say, okay, well, what is an action that we can take? And I think but it takes, we were talking earlier, it takes an amount of trust to trust that voice and that knowing within us.
Mm.
And because it's so easy to be distracted by the world and want to go on Google and ask Google what Google thinks.
Well, let's be even more candid about that.
Yeah.
Intuition is becoming a lost art. That is our birthright is actually becoming extremely rare due
Mm.
to exactly what you're talking about. We are overly saturated with information, and the brain is glitching because of it, and it's causing ADD of the masses, which deters us from the place of stillness
Mhm.
where intuition can be born. We have to begin to find that still point. And to
Mm.
most people today, they would even go, what are you talking about? Still,
Yes.
what even is that? What
What
are you
is
referring to? That's the only way intuition can come forward.
And it kind of reminds me of, like, and so many of us have these moments where we're in the shower, like we have an issue and we're like in the shower or we're in the garden or we're doing, and then the answer comes to us. Like it's just like, boop, when we're not thinking about it, or we're just in some sort of mind space where it isn't cluttered. It's like I've had that so many times, like, oh, this is what I need to do. Oh, and I had my eldest son when he was born was super, super sick. Like 3 weeks after, he couldn't take any of my milk. He was puking all the time. He was screaming every time he would eat. I was like, I thought my kid was dying. So I took him to the doctor and I'm like, doctor, well, the doctor knows. The doctor knows everything. He wears the white coat. He has all the education. He knows everything about the human body and he knows everything about my son. And he takes a look and asks questions, probably spends about 5 minutes with me. And he's like, you know what? You need to stop breastfeeding and get him on some formula. He's allergic to your breast milk. And I was like, my mom's like, okay, well, I'll go to Walgreens and start looking for formula. And I'm like, what? I went to Walgreens and the whole time I was just like, this is no, like, this is not right. So I went home and I was so upset and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I was so, so beside myself. And I just remember being like, just breathe. Because my heart was like beating. I was like, just breathe. And then I hear, stop eating dairy. That was the voice that came through. And at that point, I was eating just crappy conventional dairy. I didn't know back then about anything about our food. And I stopped that moment. And within, I think it was like 18 hours, he was fine. He could eat my milk. And I was like, oh my gosh.
What a brilliant example. And here's something I think that's really important to point out in your example.
Okay.
When that thought came through, that intuitive ping,
Yeah.
there's something that happens outside of just the mental that feels like what I'll call is like a ding, ding, ding. This
Mm-hmm.
is something we all share. It's not separate for one person. Like, this is how I experience it. No, it's this ding, ding, ding on a cellular level. But
Mm-hmm.
because our mental has got so strong, meaning just information, information, what I
Yeah.
read, what I heard, what I read,
Yeah.
what I heard, sometimes that can trump that, but it doesn't make it not there. You'll always feel this inside of your body, ding, 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 ding. And
Yeah.
that's something so important for us to note because it'll be there every time. Even track your life, the times you didn't listen to it. It still was something outside of your heady mental.
Yeah.
It was something deeper that had you go, I know you want to go over there, but
Mm-hmm.
go that way. And still we go over there instead.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay because that begins to strengthen the intuition because you go, oh yeah, I didn't listen. Next time I'm going to listen. Oh yeah, I didn't listen. Go ahead, do that 10 times. The
Mm-hmm.
intuition is now going to start yelling at you. It's going to be
Yes.
stronger
Yeah.
because it's always guiding us into our most aligned path.
And you know what? I just want, like, let's just create this vision of never having to seek answers outside of ourselves. We never have to Google anything. We never have to say, what's the symptom to this? Or why am I feeling like this? Or having to read books upon books upon books to help ourselves, for self-help. Like, what if we never had to? I mean, what would that be like to have
Well,
everything we need within us and to
well,
be able to tap into that? Go ahead.
technically, that is so.
Yeah.
That is so. It's not something that we need to happen to us. It already is so.
Yeah.
And the best ways to bring that forward, awaken that within us,
Mm-hmm.
is it's not about not being guided because there's a balance to that. It's just that I believe the best guides, teachers, gurus, whatever you want to call that, is pointing you always to that.
Mm,
Not about how you should be, or let me tell you what I know and you need to be inside of what I know. No, it's always a guiding
yeah.
that has you resonate to point you into that.
Mm,
So I do believe, especially today, that being guided, which is to say, take me outside of my known. Because if I stay inside of my known, I'm often going to take circular paths. And
yeah.
that could even be ancestral. Like if you notice, we start to repeat what we said we would never do that our parents did. You can start to go, oh my God, I just saw my mother right there. Love
Oh,
my mother so much. But we begin to start to see that and so we can take guidance that begins to align us, even though it's unknown mentally, begins
Mm,
to wake up that deep wisdom within us.
yes. And it's I think first for those that are like, because a lot of times I would look at other people and be like, oh, they have it. I don't have it. I
Mhm.
don't have that. And I want like every person listening to really understand that there is like all the information you need is within you. And how do you get to it? How do
Mhm.
you tap in? How do you um, get that connected to that guidance all the time? Could you, I mean, what would that be like to live day to day with that information just flowing through you? Rather than having to be like, oh, what does Google think? Or I need to call the doctor, or I need to do this. It's like, what would that be like? But there's steps to getting there,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
We have to,
first of all, let's go ahead and wonder about
yeah,
that space.
let's do it.
There would be more space in your life because today everybody is so busy, quote unquote.
Busy.
There would be more space in your life. And the reprogramming of blood, sweat, and tears is what it's going to take. In fact, it would be shockingly effortless because that wisdom is just right there. And it's not that there would be nothing to do, but it points us on the direct path versus the detours.
Mm,
And when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to raising kids, all of those things get tuned into a higher frequency. So it really is the answer. It's not like, let me just check out this hobby.
yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
the answer
yeah.
to
It,
go into a point of stillness within and begin to discover essentially the kingdom within that is the magnet that's reflecting the external world. We can begin to prove this now scientifically. There's
mm,
a lot of evidence of that, and I'm saying that for all the mental logical minds because we need that. We need to understand it. We need to
right.
begin to go, okay, this isn't something that I have to be religious to know or even spiritual to know.
Yeah,
It's just the what so. It's
yeah.
just what so that internal space, there is enough data that when that gets tuned into a stillness that allows this other intuition, wisdom, intelligence to come forward, all
Mm,
of these other things around me just somehow, some way, by a fluke, you want to call it that, starts
yeah.
to get tuned and harmonized.
It's so true.
It's so true.
It's so true. And it's like, it's like, if we want to continue the search outside of ourselves, that's what we're going to always do. But if you are ready, which I think a lot of people are now, they're ready to, they've done all the things, they've read all the books, nothing is moving the needle. They're still in the same patterns, creating the same thing, same experience. At some point, you get to it, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to find that peace. I want to know myself and know that wealth of information inside of me that we all know is there, but we have to like slowly take those steps or quickly to create that space within us. So okay, we're ready, we're here, Angela,
We're here, we're ready. We have
we're ready.
established
Yeah,
that out of all the things in life,
yeah,
all relationships, children, all the things, it is the most important.
by
Because
far.
even if you say my relationship with my husband is the most important, my relationship with my kids is the most important, if you even if you say that, this contributes to what would make that relationship the most tuned and beneficial for all. So
Mm,
this is the
yeah,
answer. And to your point of searching externally, that's okay. You can do so many things. You can build empires.
yeah,
You can do many, many external things, but I can promise you that has nothing to do with peace, having an enjoyable life and peace within. It'll
mm,
still be a grind. You might have money, and from time to time, people, want to be close to you, and that's lonely.
yeah,
People want to use you because you're
yeah,
so quote unquote special now and important now. That
yeah.
has nothing to do with tuning the internal world within. So,
And we just have to remember the evidence is no matter even when we get the house, the kids, the relationship, this and that, you're still you. You
yeah,
still are experiencing life as you. And so if you don't change the inside, nothing's going to change outside.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's
that's why we,
stillness.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
stillness. So, what is that?
yeah,
What
let's talk about that. But
Well, I always like to say, first and foremost, first and foremost, there's a reason why every enlightened being has talked about meditation.
Hmm.
And there's a reason why most people won't do it.
Yeah.
There's a big reason why most people won't do it and actually build a whole case of why that's not for them. But they'll
Oh,
do it in other ways. I'll do a yoga class.
mhm.
No, I'll stare at the birds longer. I'll
Yeah.
just take a deeper breaths. And all those things are great, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. And there has been something proven time and time and time again. And that is to sit on the cushion in stillness and simply retract yourself from the external world and begin to cultivate the internal space, the space
Mm.
within.
And that can be scary for people, Ange, to go in with their mind.
It can be scary, and or it can just be I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm too busy to do that, and that makes no sense in my busy life to just sit there.
Okay.
No logical
Yeah.
sense, and you
No,
would
but
be fine.
I have laundry, I have kids, I have all these things I need to do, and you want me to just sit here and even if you do sit there, you're I remember when I first started meditating, I was just like, oh my gosh, my mind is it was like when you really sit in it and watch the mind and like just sit. I remember 10 minutes would go by and I'm like, I didn't find any stillness there.
Well, here's the beauty. Here's the
Mhm.
beauty of that.
Okay.
As long as you begin to create a space where you can just go within, and oftentimes even that's guided meditations, whatever that is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
If your mind is busy the whole time, that's perfect
Right.
because there's nothing more powerful in life than beginning to understand what it is to redirect the mind. So the mind
Mm,
wanders and you watch it. The mind wanders and you watch it. The mind wanders and you watch it. The mind wanders and you bring it back. The
yeah.
mind wanders and you watch it, watch it, watch it, bring it back. And
Mm-hmm.
let's say I'm able to bring it back 3 times in the 15, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That is the most powerful thing I could
Mm-hmm.
ever do in my life because, unbeknownst to everyone, my inability to bring my mind back. And what do I mean by back? There's a thought and it's taking me with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an emotion and it's taking me with it. I
Mm-hmm.
lost control. And just so you know, all this ADD bullshit, it's a loss of control. I no longer am the governing force of my internal domain. You think you might be by trying to manipulate things outside of you, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not. So the moment, even if I do that, that is the best thing I could ever do for myself, my family, my children, my career. We've all seen that. Let's just use career since you're so busy. We've
Yeah.
all seen the boss that's frantic
Mm-hmm.
or the employee that's frantic. We've also sensed, and it's more and more rare today. That's why you think they're like an alien or something. When somebody is in the same set of chaotic circumstances, but understands how to be still within, they feel like a warm blanket, and you just go, "Who is that?" Or
Yeah.
you'll think they're very strange.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember this one story. I'm gonna just tell a quick story because it was Eckhart Tolle's one of my favorite authors. He wrote The Power of Now and he also speaks a lot. Anyway, I was telling this story about how rare it is now to be still. Now, granted, he's enlightened, so this is a whole other level of stillness. And he was renting out this apartment space. And he finds, and it's a lot of work, you put something in the paper and you interview several, and he selected this one woman. And this woman comes to rent the space and she's spending, her first couple nights there in this loft, and they're living together, not in the same room, obviously, but they share the same kitchen spaces. And she couldn't understand what this stillness was. In fact, he didn't know this at the time, but she was starting to like panic a little bit and think of him as like a serial killer. She just couldn't make out what this guy was. And so she would lock her door. And finally she said, "Listen, I can't be here anymore. I'm sorry. I need to get out of this lease." And then because he was so still, which with a lot of people would have been like, "Are you kidding me? Do you, I interviewed 10 people and I picked you. Now I got to, whatever we
Yeah.
do, reaction to that. He just said, okay, I understand. And he was still, and he went through the procedure of same thing a chaotic person would have to do.
Yeah.
There's still a procedure, whether you're in acceptance or resistance, it's really the same procedure. And so
Mm,
he was calm and all right, I understand. Does the whole thing, starts to put another ad in the paper, and then she comes back and says, okay, I changed my mind. You're actually incredible. So I just and so this ends up being his roommate, and they become long friends and all these things. But I tell you that whole story because it's so lost.
mm,
It's so lost that we're viewing stillness,
yeah.
this most intelligent space within us,
Mm.
as some kind of foreign thing.
It's like who we really are. It's
Yeah,
like the truth. It's like what we're all longing to connect with.
yeah.
Yet we've been shown a completely different way to live, a completely different way to operate in the world, trying to control outside of us when the answer is going within.
Yeah,
And it's like, but it's like it's time. It's like I feel like so much of us are so tired of this, this spin of information and not able to really like enjoy life, to really be in our lives. And I know like there was a point in my motherhood where all I could think about was I just wanted to go to sleep. Like I just wanted the kids in bed. I was not enjoying being a mom. I was just like in the spin, in the spin, in the spin. And then as I began to create that space, little by little, by little, by little, by little, and you just keep making it and make it, and then this you become more spacious.
mm,
And that spaciousness fills your family. And it's like I don't know. It's like it's a completely different way of living. And you just, for me, I don't feel like I'm in the busy, busy, got to go to, it's like, all right, next step. Okay, this comes up. Instead of having a huge reaction, my boys are fighting. Instead of like adding fuel to the fire and getting upset, it's like, okay, breathe. I have stillness. Now I can make a better, more conscious decision. And the wisdom comes in. Say this,
mm,
do this. And you're able to follow those steps
mm,
that lead you to where you want to go instead of always creating the same drama,
mm.
same circumstances that you really want to get out of in the first place.
And to be clear, that's really incredible the way that you're describing it. And I want to add another dimension to this because by no means does stillness create some kind of perfect life.
Mm-mm.
It's because the human experience isn't designed for that. In fact, the human experience is designed to really throw you a curveball that you just like, ah, and it helps you to be with the, ah, it helps you to be with that. So I really want to make sure the
Mm.
clarity is there that it's not that that doesn't come.
Right.
Gonna come. There's gonna be deaths. There's gonna be things that happen in families that you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe, I never would have expected this one. Jobs change and all these things. AI is taking over the planet. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the
Yeah.
human experience just has inside of it. But how beautiful to have space
Mm-hmm.
within my space in
Yeah.
there, space
And
in
that's it.
there.
That's it. It's not about changing what outside of you. It's about changing your response to life and how you show up in life, which has a ripple effect.
It has a ripple effect, and coincidentally, quote unquote, it does alter what ends up happening outside of me, but it
Yes.
just began because I wasn't viewing it the way that I was always viewing it before. And
Yeah.
that's what that spaciousness
Mm.
allows. And it allows a different level of grace for myself. And that means that it's not that I'm not going to go there. And what is go there? That means go to my known ways, my old patterns. I'm going to go there. That's also part of the human experience. But with the spaciousness, it now becomes how long am I going to stay there? And because I have an awareness that's different, I can bring myself back to that center. And I'm even more expanded because of it, because I went there and came back to the center. My awareness has expanded. It just infinitely keeps growing in spaciousness. So, again, I get to be kinder and more gentle to me when I'm
Mm.
a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's everything.
Mhm.
Because if you think about it, if you have an explosion, let's say you're triggered with your kids, and then now you're upset with yourself and you're shaming yourself, and now you're holding resentment towards yourself or towards others, and it just starts to spin. And, or if you're able to be like, remembering to remember, you come back to the space, you can then create something new, compassion, forgiveness. You can, in a way, I can almost see myself more as the human that I am with like a higher perspective. And instead of like judging myself, I feel like now I'm like, it's okay. You're okay. It's all okay. You're safe in all of this experience because it's exactly what I believe I'm calling to myself. And that's why I feel like we're always calling to ourselves the experiences that we need. And when we do that from an awakened state, our experience with the world changes. And and I feel like with moms, like that's what we want to show our children. We want to show our children how to live in the power that we are, not allow that power to be taken from us by, well, all the external, distractions out there.
And to be clear about that,
Yeah,
it's imperative that that gets transferred to the children. It's imperative. And I don't mean that to freak anyone out. I mean that as to say that's a beautiful responsibility.
it is.
But you cannot transfer something you have not cultivated within yourself. And that's therefore the love, that beautiful bond that having a child creates
Yeah.
is the catapulting force that will send you back into you. Because
Mm.
only when you do that can the child then witness
Mhm.
you, and then it is therefore awakened in them.
It is the most powerful ripple effect.
Mhm,
And not only does it impact them, but generations after them,
mhm,
So you're right. It's a really incredible and important responsibility. Um, but in the same sense, we just have to start where we're at and like take those baby steps towards creating more stillness in our lives. Because at the end of the day, it's like the parent yelling at the kid to be calm, calm down. That's never going to do it. You really, to be calm, if you want them to be calm, you must be calm. And it's like, how do we get to that place within us to be what we want our children to be? And it takes awareness, it takes consciousness, it takes stillness,
yeah. And
truly.
so, if we were to begin to ground this conversation, which I love to do, and put these profound contemplations into their simplest forms,
Mhm.
I would say then that simple form right now would be meditation. Because while there are many tools and experiences that will assist in guiding us into
Mhm.
deeper stillness, and if we don't have the initial wherewithal to
Mhm.
begin to redirect the mind, that doesn't mean I don't care. I don't care if you're not good at meditating.
Yeah.
It just means that's perfect that you're not
Yeah.
good at meditating because you're still sitting there being not good at meditating for 5 or 10 minutes. And that's
Yeah.
the best thing you could ever do for yourself is be not good at meditating for 5 or 10 minutes. And the moment you can begin to incorporate that like that, 5 or 10 minutes, if we're now giving actual data that this is the thing, this is the most important component. Otherwise, you are just plugged into, I don't want to sound cliche, the matrix. You
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to you, you think you're living this life that's all yours. No, you're just plugged into some machine. Now,
Yes.
you can offer this 5 to 10 minutes, then there's a whole world, universe, infinite space from here.
Mm. There is, my friends. It is blissful, it's miraculous. And you just have to push through that, what you were just saying. You just have to keep going, right? Where we want to stop. And that's where most of us do, is we just stop. I'm not good at it. My mind's different. My mind's a special mind, like you say. Like my mind's really busy,
Yeah.
because that'll stop us right there.
Yeah.
And it's like we have to push through that.
Yes. Yes.
And we have our fuel, which is our children, the future generations sitting there begging for us to do that,
Yeah.
truly. And that's it. I'm so grateful that we get to have these type of conversations and that they get to be listened to so many moms.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, if we can all just sit still for 5 to 10 minutes a day, every day, I can imagine how the world would change.
There's a great ripple effect to that 5 to 10 minutes. And that 5 to 10 minutes is also going to begin to awaken or like just activate that sleeping muscle of the intuition coming full circle. So it will have a certain guidance. It'll just be coming from a different space.
Yes. And when you have that open space, that's when the divine intelligence, intuition, what God, whatever you want to call it, that's when you can hear it. You
Yeah.
cannot hear it when you're in the spin of the mind. It's impossible. The mind blocks that divine intelligence.
Yeah.
So we have to work on getting that spaciousness so we can get all the information that is meant for us in each moment in time. And then we don't have to seek outside of ourselves. We already know.
Mm,
What a
yeah.
beautiful place to be from, to live from.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All right.
have I have a I think it's 5 minutes and 40 some seconds. I have a meditation. It's called the check-in meditation.
I love it. Can we share that with our friends? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Guided, all you gotta do is just follow it, follow the voice. Go ahead, get distracted. That's the best thing you could ever do for yourself is see how distracted you are. That's incredible. Be distracted for 5 minutes and 40 some seconds. It's the best thing you could do for yourself. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back.
And celebrate when you bring it back. Every time I bring it back, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Because what people can do is when you come back, oh, I wondered again. Oh, shoot.
Oh,
Where instead,
great. That's
like,
exciting.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm back. I'm
Yeah.
back. You're back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll get back. All right. Yay. Thanks for sharing that. I'll put that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Sandra. I appreciate you being here. I just love you so much.
My honor. Love you too.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you on the next Hippie Moms podcast.